Welcome to Climbing Together, the small business experience. I'm Beth Houtrow, founder of Climb the Small Business Book Club, and every episode I talk to a small business owner about a mistake that they've made and what they learned from the experience. Mistakes are inevitable, perfection's impossible, so let's embrace the mistake. And today we're so excited to welcome Emily Sterk to the podcast. Emily, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Hi, so I am the founder and executive director of Healing Towards Wellness. We are a startup nonprofit based out of Kansas City, and we provide affordable and accessible mental health care to the area. I'm by trade, I'm a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist, so I do therapy, I meet with clients, but then I started this nonprofit a few years ago because I was seeing a massive gap between suicide rates, mental health crisis, and frankly, the cost of therapy in our area, and I just hated that. So we started this nonprofit to kind of close that gap a little bit. So currently we provide affordable sliding scale therapy sessions with the larger goal of providing a wraparound service where clients will have access to a mental health therapist, an anti-diet registered dietitian, and a personal trainer, because again, healing towards wellness involves the whole body. And so that is our longer term goal, but currently we are offering affordable therapy and hopefully going to bring on other team members in the next 2 years.
Well, that's amazing and so important. I love that. Kansas City's very lucky to have you. Mm-hmm. So cool. All right. But we are here to talk about mistakes in business, or in your case, right, in the nonprofit world. So mm-hmm. Talk to me about something that went wrong for you and what you learned from the experience.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've been blessed in that we haven't had like massive blunders, but we have had like minor frustrations and mistakes. And one being, I want to say it was our second year, we attempted to put on like a larger scale fundraiser, a pickleball tournament, and it was fine, but it definitely could have been better. I think the planning was rushed. We couldn't it was hard marketing it, getting people to sign up. Something that I don't think is talked enough about, like you mentioned earlier, is vetting your partners. They had some stuff on their end that was going on. It kind of impacted our day. We were able to get a handful of people, but then it torrentially downpoured 2 hours later. And there was just, again, I think we were so focused on, well, we're a nonprofit, we have to have a fundraiser, right? And it just got pushed too quickly. The intention, the goal, the heart my board had to put this fundraiser on was amazing. It just didn't have effective follow through. And again, we did make some money, but the stress, the lack of marketing, the lack of getting people to sign up, being a second year nonprofit, I think this was still in pretty the heart of like the pandemic. We're talking like 2020, 2021. So I think getting people outside was kind of hard. So I think the mistake wasn't the fundraiser itself. It was the process of getting the fundraiser launched. And again, it was just not trusting the process, pushing things too quickly, not having a ton of time to really plan and get things in motion. And then again, that partnership vetting.
Yeah. Well, and it is one of those things, I think it happens inevitably, right? That mm-hmm. I was supposed to have an event this morning, a free event to promote my business. And I didn't give myself enough time to really market and promote it. And didn't put enough energy and kind of money behind marketing and promoting it. And we called it off because we didn't have enough people sign up. And so, I've only been in business a year, but I'm a business coach. I know better. And so I think the mistake that you made is pretty common, and then you just learn from it, and the future fundraisers just have better planning.
I think the idea was we need to get a fundraiser under our belt in some capacity. And so it doesn't really matter how it goes, as long as we can say we had one. And again, I get the logic. I get that. But at the same time, could we have maybe, like you said, maybe put a little bit more, space between the idea and the event? There just wasn't a ton of space. And so, but I think the overall goal was trial run. Let's see how this goes. And my mom, I don't talk about this enough. My mom was there. She signed up for the fundraiser. She ended up going to the hospital because she fell. And it's oh, my mom's not going to sue us, but insurance, because someone might fall and get their eye bleeding. And it's we don't think of that, right? So granted, it was my mother and she's totally fine, but
wow, because that is that that could have been really bad. And that I
Mhm.
preach about insurance so much to people. And so that's a great story to share too, is
Yeah.
not luckily it was your mom. I don't want your mom to get hurt. Right. But if someone was going to fall, yeah, you don't want someone to come after you
Mhm.
for their slip and fall.
Right.
Okay. Well, hey, I think a lot's learned there. And at the end of
Right.
the day, though, I think it's good that you had the event, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, because you had to learn and you had to see that next time we need more space. It's really the only way to learn, I think, is to have some setbacks in there. Okay. Very cool.
Mhm.
So at Climb the Small Business Book Club, we have two tenets. They are continual learning and community building.
Mm.
So tell me about what you do. What's your strategy for continual learning?
So I have a few kind of spaces I land there as an entrepreneur or a nonprofit founder, but then also as a therapist. So ethically, I have continued education things I have to do every year. So that helps, constantly growing my skill as a therapist. But then continual learning is just listening to anyone who is willing to talk to you, being very teachable and coachable, and not thinking you essentially know better than other people, because frankly, I don't. And so when you're meeting with someone for coffee or going to a networking event, or you see someone or an event that doesn't totally match what you're doing, you can learn something. And so to grow, and it's just, having 20 seconds of courage and sending that email, making that phone call. The worst thing they're going to say is they're busy or they're not interested or whatever. And that's okay. In the entrepreneurial world, I've learned if someone doesn't have space or they're not interested, they will always have that extra sentences like, but I'm going to connect you to this person. And so they're always trying to connect you. And I've learned that not just nonprofit world, but business world is if we can't help you or serve you, we will find someone who does. And to me, when you build that community and you have that tribe, then you're set, because they also trust you that you're going to represent them well to like reach out to this person. So that's how I would build continued learning and community, of just being teachable, listening to them, taking their input, and going from there.
Yeah, I love that 20 seconds of courage, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
really true that it's funny how scared we are. In our book club, we're reading Rejection Proof in April. And it's all about this idea that we are all so scared of someone saying no to us for whatever reason. It's this like real visceral experience. And so, but what
Mm-hmm.
is the worst thing about hearing no? It's just no, right? You're not actually hurt. Nothing actually bad is going on. But you do need that moment of courage to be willing to hit the send button when you're asking for something from somebody. So that's
Yeah.
I love that language. And
Yeah.
then so great, you answered both the things about continual learning and community, but I know you had a book that you appreciated. What was that?
Yeah, so I've followed Simon Sinek for many years, and he has one book that I think he was putting it out into the world right before the pandemic hit, and I think it just got lost in the sauce a little bit. So I don't think it's appreciated as much as it should be. But it's Infinite Game, and it's different than his other books because it's not about us as people becoming entrepreneurs or in the business world. It's about how we look at business overall. And so the Infinite Game really talks about, in business, you can't compete. I know in like a capitalist world, it's like, well, who can be better? Who can, all those things. He's talking about if you go in with that mindset, you're going to lose. So a finite game is like a sport, right? There's a score, there's a winner at the end, and things like that. But that's only for a season, right? That's only for a couple, if you're baseball, a couple hundred games at a time. But from a business, and you want your business to be successful and have longevity, you can't be competing with other people. You have to do the best you can. You have to stick to your why, like his other book, and mission and things like that. And frankly, not worry about these other people. So people take ideas, people get to ideas sooner than other people. What they don't have is you, right? Like they have them and their team. Go support them and champion them. You're you. Take your idea and go with it, and don't worry about competing with this other people. So we see this in all facets of business. It doesn't matter if you're a therapist, a teacher, doctor, whoever. There's a level of competition. And I like that the Infinite Game gives you examples like Samsung versus Apple, or he gives like war analogies of like, we have to remove that from business or you actually won't succeed in the long run. That's kind of his point.
Very interesting. Yeah, like roll with your uniqueness. Know that you are the thing that is different, even if the idea is very similar. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Emily, that is our podcast today. Thanks so much for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This podcast is brought to you by Climb the Small Business Book Club, where entrepreneurs go to learn, discuss, apply, and grow. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe at Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, or follow us on Instagram at Climb Book Club. And always remember, mistakes are inevitable, perfection's impossible. So let's embrace the mistake.